Now the Philistines gathered their forces for war, and assembled at Soka in Judah. They pitched camp at Ephes Damim, between Soka and Ezekah. So when the Israelites assembled and camped in the valley of Elah, and drew up their battle line to meet the Philistines. The Philistines occupied one hill, and the Israelites another, with the valley in between them. A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. He was over 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels. On his legs he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was strung on his back. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, and its iron point weighed 600 shekels. His shield bearer went ahead of him. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel,
"Why do you come out in battle array? Am I not a Philistine, and are you not servants of Saul? Choose a servant from among yourselves. Let him come down and fight me. If he can fight and kill me, then we shall serve you. But if I shall kill him, then you shall serve the Philistines." I defy the rocks of Israel today. Choose a man and let him come down and fight me.
On hearing the Philistines' words, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. Now David was the son of an Ephraite named Jesse, who was from Bethlehem in Judah. Jesse had 8 sons, and in Saul's time he was old and well advanced in years. Jesse's 3 oldest sons had followed Saul to the war. The firstborn was Eliab, the second Abinadab, and the third Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 oldest followed Saul, but David went back and forth from Saul to tend his father's sheep at Bethlehem. For 40 days the Philistine came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. Now Jesse said to his son David, "Take this ephah of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread for your brothers, and hurry to their camp. Take along these 10 cheeses to the commander of their unit. See how your brothers are, and bring back some assurance from them. They are with Saul and all the men of Israel in the valley of Elah, fighting against the Philistines." Early in the morning, David left the flock with a shepherd, loaded up and set out, as Jesse had directed. He reached the camp as the army was going out to its battle positions, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines facing each other. David left his things with the keeper of supplies, ran to the battle line, and greeted his brothers. As he was talking with them, Goliath the Philistine, champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance, and David heard it. When the Israelites saw the man, they all ran from him in great fear. Now, the Israelites had been saying, "Do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give him his daughter in marriage, and will exempt his father's family from taxes in Israel." David asked the men standing near him, "What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and takes this reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should insult the army of the living God?" They repeated to him what they had been saying and told him, "This will be done for the man who kills him." When Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him speaking with the men, he burned with anger at him and asked, "Why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the desert? I know how conceited you are and how wicked your heart is. You came down only to watch the battle." "What have I done now? Wasn't it just a question?" He turned away to someone else and brought up the matter, and the man answered him as before. What David said was overheard and reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. "You are not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for you are youth, and he has been a warrior from a youth." "Your servant was tending the sheep of his father's sheep. And when a bear or lion came and took a sheep, I went out after him and attacked it and rescued from his jaw. And when he came to me, I grabbed his beard, struck him, and killed him. Your servant has killed both lion and bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has defiled the armies of the living God. God has delivered the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear into my hands. You will deliver me from the hands of this Philistine." "Go, and may the Lord be with you." Then Saul dressed David in his own tunic, and put a coat of armor on him, and a bronze helmet on his head. David fastened on his sword over the tunic, and tried to walk around, because he had not used them. He was not used to them. So he took them off. He then took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and, with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. Meanwhile, the Philistine, with his shield bearer in front of him, kept coming closer to David. He looked David over and saw that he was only a boy, ruddy and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David,
"Am I a dog that you come to me with a stick? I curse you in the name of Dagon and my gods."
he said. David said to the Philistine, "You come to me with sword, javelin, and spear, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have mocked. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands. I will strike you down and cut off your head. And I will give the bodies of the armies of the Philistines to the birds of the skies and the wild beasts of the earth, that the earth might know that there is a God in Israel, and that all this assembly might know that it is not by sword nor spear that battles are won, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will deliver you into our hands." As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face downwards to the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. David ran and stood over him. He took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it from its scabbard. After he killed him, he cut off his head with the sword. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran. Then the men of Israel and Judah surged forward with a shout and pursued the Philistines to the entrance of Gath and to the gates of Ekron. Their dead were strewed along the Shaaraim road to Gath and Ekron. When the Israelites returned from chasing the Philistines, they plundered their camp. David took the Philistine's head and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put the Philistines' weapons in his own tent. As Saul watched David going to meet the Philistine, he said to Abner, commander of the army, "Abner, whose son is this young man?" "As surely as you live, O king, I don't know." The king said, As soon as David returned from killing the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul, with David still holding the Philistine's head. Saul asked him, "Whose son are you, young man?"